In the heart of East Africa, nestled between mountains and vast plains, stood the proud kingdom of Ethiopia. It was a land unlike any other, rich in culture, history, and fiercely independent. For centuries, Ethiopia had remained unbroken, an anomaly in a continent that had witnessed the spread of European empires. This was the land where the Lion of Judah roared, where ancient kings and queens ruled, and where a people believed deeply in their identity and freedom. In the late 19th century, the winds of change were blowing across the world. Third European powers, having carved up the rest of Africa, turned their gaze toward the last great independent nation on the continent, Ethiopia. In 1889, the Italian kingdom, eager to expand its empire, began to make moves toward colonizing Ethiopia. Nanga. Their ambition was not just for land, but for glory. They sought to control Ethiopia's strategic position, its riches, and to avenge their humiliating defeat in an earlier battle at the hands of the Ethiopians. At the time, Menelik II ruled as Emperor of Ethiopia. Menelik was a shrewd and capable leader, well aware of the European threat. He had seen what colonization had done to neighboring countries: the forced labor, the loss of life, the destruction of cultures. Ethiopia would not fall to the fate of the other African nations. The Italians had already established colonies in Eritrea and Somalia, and they believed Ethiopia would be an easy target. They promised peace to the emperor, but secretly planned their invasion. They began to build roads and fortifications along the borders, thinking the Ethiopians would be slow to react. But Menelik was no fool. He knew that Ethiopia's future depended on her unity and her strength, so he set about organizing his people, calling upon all regions of Ethiopia to stand together in the face of foreign aggression. 9 words spread across the land, and the people, young and old, from every ethnic group, gathered under the banner of their emperor. In 1895, war broke out. The battle that followed would come to be known as the Battle of Adwa. It was a turning point in Ethiopian history. Menelik, with his wife Empress Tetu, his generals, and his people, gathered their forces at the foot of the towering mountains of Adwa. The Italians, confident of victory, advanced with a well-equipped army. However, they underestimated the determination and strength of the Ethiopian warriors. The Ethiopian army, though poorly armed compared to the Italians, fought with unmatched courage. They knew their land, the terrain, and the people. Menelik's strategy was brilliant. He used the mountainous landscape to his advantage, leading his troops to strike at the right moment and in the right place. The battle raged for hours. Italian forces, though disciplined and experienced, were overwhelmed by the sheer willpower of the Ethiopians. Menelik's forces surrounded the Italian troops, and in the end, the Italians were forced to retreat. Thousands of Italian soldiers were taken prisoner or killed, and the victory was total. Ethiopia had won, and the world would now know that the Lion of Judah had not been tamed. Menelik's victory at Adwa was not just a military one. It was a victory for all of Africa. It proved that colonial powers were not invincible, and that with unity and determination, even the mightiest forces could be defeated. The Battle of Adwa became a symbol of resistance, not just for Ethiopia, but for all of Africa. It sent shockwaves across the continent and the world. Ethiopia's victory was a beacon of hope for colonized peoples everywhere. It was a statement: Africa could resist, and Africa could win. Despite their defeat, the Italians continued to press their claims on Ethiopia. However, Menelik's victory at Adwa ensured that Ethiopia remained free for decades longer than most of Africa, becoming one of the few nations never fully colonized. The Ethiopian spirit, the spirit of resistance, pride, and unity, would continue to live on in the hearts of the people. And in the history books, the Battle of Adwa would be remembered as a reminder that sometimes the greatest victories come not through the might of weapons, but through the strength of a people determined to hold on to their freedom.